This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the Lenovo ThinkPad Twist. This is a relatively affordable convertible notebook in the ThinkPad line, obviously given the name. Nice soft touch finish here, 3.5 pounds, so not too heavy, 12.5-inch IPS display, excellent Lenovo ThinkPad keyboard. We're going to look at it now. So the Lenovo ThinkPad Twist is a versatile convertible ultrabook with a touchscreen that runs obviously Windows 8, which we're looking at here right now. You can get it with Windows 8 Standard, which is the equivalent of Home Premium in Windows 7 world, or you can get it with Windows 8 Pro, which we happen to have here. Not so much of an important difference there. You get things like BitLocker encryption with Pro, some other stuff, but anyway. The most important thing about this guy is you can use it in this interesting position, which is a lot like what we could do with tablet PCs of old. Of course, the thing that's really changes the operating system here to make it more touch-friendly. And you can see what we're doing here. Here's our keyboard right back here. Now, I like this particular way of using it. Say I have it on the coffee table or on the desk, and I really just want to be browsing the web, consuming content. This makes a whole lot of sense, works very nicely. Actually, more sense than using intent mode that Lenovo made popular with the Yoga 13, an IdeaPad. We'll compare it to in a minute. Of course, you're obviously not going to be doing any typing in this position, but you can flatten it and use it just like a tablet on your lap. This is touchscreen only. This does not use a digital pen, so you're not going to be doing any drawing on this, but if you just want to actually hold it on your lap, use it like a tablet to consume content again, use the on-screen keyboard for light data entry, that's what you've got. So you can see the display is pretty glary thanks to Gorilla Glass. Gorilla Glass is great for protecting the display, also good for inducing a good fit of glare there. 12.8 inches, this is an IPS display, 350 nits of brightness, a very nice crisp display. Sure, it's not a full 1080p display, you're not going to get ultra sharp text, but as displays go for 1366 by 768 resolution, it's looking pretty nice with pleasant colors. We've got the home button down here, as you'd expect to see with something that was just a pure tablet. Makes it easy to get back to this interface right here. We've got volume control, so if you're using in tablet mode, you can still obviously control the volume. And the power button is actually located on the side over here. And there's also a little rotation button right here, so if you want to rotate the screen in any orientation, you can use that, and you can lock the orientation as well. So you can see here while we're looking at the side, you get a good selection of ports. We have SD card slot. This is where the SIM card would go for the 3G module. So far that is actually not available as an option in the US, so there is a little slot right in there that the internals are not apparently in the device. Gigabit Ethernet right here. Realtek's the provider for that. Mini HDMI. One USB 3.0 port on this side, there's another one on the other side, and here's your combo headphone mic jack. And on the other side, there it is, that other USB 3.0 port, sleep and charge, and a mini display port. And here's your standard barrel style connector. This does not use the new rectangular connector that we've seen on some Lenovo notebooks like the ThinkPad Carbon X1. Vents right here for cooling. There are some more vents that are underneath the edge here. A little hard to see right now because the display is covering it. As you can see, with this kind of swivel hinge that's been around for forever, it's pretty reliable, pretty durable, and very practical. You actually have a little bit of extra space right here. The display stops before the bottom deck. It does give you a place to hold it, and it won't slide down, so that part's not so bad actually. This originally was going to be marketed as a ThinkPad Edge product. For those of you who are familiar with ThinkPads, you know the Edge is kind of the more affordable small business budget line of ThinkPad notebooks. Not necessarily the highest end configurations there, but it saves you some money. And usually in terms of looks mostly like a ThinkPad, but it has a couple of visual doodads that set it apart. In this case, it's got the mostly soft touch black Lenovo Raven Black finish that's pretty standard, but we have this gloss over here, which is kind of a little visually jarring. It's kind of strange. I almost think with the Edge line that they do a few things to make it look a little less minimalist and aesthetically pleasing as the regular ThinkPad line. And we have this chrome around the display edge. But otherwise, if we look at the bottom, looks pretty much like a ThinkPad here. More vents, whole bunch of screws to take out if you want to take the bottom cover off. If you just want to take out the keyboard to access the M-SATA slot and the wireless card slot, there are two screws just in the center. You undo those and then you can pop the keyboard off. Pretty easy to do. And from this view, it looks very much like a ThinkPad. Again, Raven soft touch finish here. Feels great. Easy to clean up. If it gets some fingerprints, you just can wipe it with a damp cloth. They're gone. Little eye in the ThinkPad logo pulses red when it's in sleep, as it is right now. Cool touch. And you can see what that hinge mechanism looks like from the back. Right there. Feels sturdy, I wouldn't worry about it. A single direction hinge only, by the way. And right now it's actually pretty hard to get the Lenovo IdeaPad Yoga 13, this guy right here that we reviewed a while ago. So Lenovo's kind of pushing the twist as a consolation prize because they can build these up a little bit quicker for you. So if you're curious to see what the size difference is, the Lenovo's IdeaPad Yoga 13 is a 13.3-inch notebook. Quite thin, but the footprint is not so different between the two of these. And there's the difference. Now the Yoga 13 does add the 1600 by 900 IPS higher resolution display. It's also a little bit larger, so the pixel density isn't hugely increased there, but you do get to see more on screen, which is nice. It's part of the IdeaPad rather than the ThinkPad line, however, so you get the whole IdeaPad design aesthetic instead, with a slightly lower travel keyboard, very thin design, a bit more difficult to upgrade. And now as we take a look inside here again, here is our 10-point capacitive multi-touch display. No pen for you, unless you want to use a capacitive stylus, but there's no active digital pen here. Works just fine, looks good. And here's our awesome, as always, Lenovo ThinkPad style keyboard with their trackpad with the eraser stick pointer for those of you who are fond of that. And this folds all the way flat back like that, another Lenovo thing. So beautiful keyboard, nice sculpted smiley at the bottom keys, excellent tactile feel, no backlighting, sorry about that, that's a little bit of a bummer, but otherwise absolutely lovely keyboard to type on, and it has good key relief, and because it's thin but not ultra thin, there is enough space to give these keys really good travel. So if typing is important to you, this would be a good pick. And now here we have our little hinge with this little arrow to tell you to only swivel it this way, so if you want to swivel it around, like so, you can put it in that mode that I'm fond of. You can fold it flat, and you can also use it in what Lenovo calls tint mode. Now by default it does not automatically rotate, but there's a little button here, and in fact a little dialogue is going to pop up to tell us, go ahead and hit that rotation button. And rotation lock as you see fit. So not a problem there, it actually works just properly as it should. Not so much designed to be super stable like this, however, given the design of the notebook, because over here you'll see that this comes out to a fairly pointy edge right over here, so it's not much that it's got to rest on there. So I would advise using it more this style if you want that kind of functionality. So what do you get inside? Lenovo deems this to be an Ultrabook, and it really does pretty much fit the definition, except it's a little bit on the heavier end for an Ultrabook, 3.5 pounds versus that kind of 3-pound goal weight. You have 3rd generation Intel Ivy Ridge Core i5, i7, and i3 options here. As always, I recommend you avoid the i3 if you can. Definitely a performance difference you'll notice if you just go up to the i5. Between the i5 and the i7, not as important honestly, but the 1.7 gigahertz i5 is what we have here. You can get it with the 1.9 gigahertz i7. The popular model that Staples has the lead on selling, and they were launching out on Black Friday in droves, has a 500 gig hard drive in it and a 24 gig little mSATA caching drive to speed up boot and application launch times. This one right here that we got has an SSD drive inside, 128 gig SSD, and you can order it that way, or if you're adventurous, you can just get the quick ship 500 gig model and then take the screws off the bottom and swap out that drive yourself. Because this does have an SSD, our mSATA slot, which is located under the keyboard along with the wireless module, is empty, so you could even be more adventurous there and start installing an mSATA drive in there if you wanted. RAM is soldered on the motherboard, and right now Lenovo's doing the same thing they did with the ThinkPad Carbon X1, and that is if you order the i5, you get 4 gigs of RAM soldered on board, and you get 8 gigs if you go with the i7. As to whether it'll allow some mixing and matching in the future, I don't know. I wouldn't hold my breath for that. Performance is pretty much what you would expect from an Ultrabook, which is to say sprightly, very good. If you're going to do super CPU intensive tasks like lots of 1080p HD video processing, heavy 3D gaming, things like that, Ultrabooks are a little low powered for that, but for the tasks that most folks do, which is to say MS Office, the web, email, video playback, streaming, YouTube, absolutely fine for that kind of thing. It has Intel HD 4000 graphics, integrated graphics, as do most Ultrabooks. And again, it's up to the task of handling some Photoshop work, playing your 1080p video, and more. So for those of you who don't like to use a touchscreen, well, you're probably not going to be buying this, are you? But that said, if you're doing something like working in Office 2010 or Office 2013 and you want to move your cursor around, you're likely going to be just reflexively going to the trackpad, which is the easy thing to do. And thankfully we have an excellent Synaptics touchpad here. Lenovo rarely lets us down with that. And that supports Windows 8 multi-touch gestures. So you can see I'm doing the equivalent of swiping on the screen just by using 2 fingers here on the trackpad. So you can do everything that you want to do just that way. In terms of software, we're looking at standard Windows 8 here. I hope you're becoming familiar with that. At this point, live tile interface, you have a built-in email client here, contacts, calendar, your basic PIM applications are onboard, things to exchange. You can do pop email, IMAP email, Google stuff, syncs nicely to Google stuff for calendar, contacts, and PIM information as well. We've got SkyDrive on here for your cloud storage. You can also use whatever you want if you like Box.net or Dropbox or anybody's cloud services, because this is a full Windows 8 PC. And since this is a full Windows PC, besides the live tile interface, you can just tap on the desktop there, and there we have the desktop. Pretty Lenovo picture available there. We've set it to show my computer, our documents, and control panels here, because control panels has gotten a little hard to find lately. Lenovo also has a start menu substitute installed because they know that some folks are just really having a hard time giving up the start menu. You can always download your own third-party utility to do that, but if you tap right here, here we have the replacement for the start menu. It has links to all the Lenovo utilities, and there's a whole lot of small business utilities here geared to maintaining your computer, keeping it safe, virus-free, all that sort of stuff. But you can also get to more utilities here, basic view of your computer, your pictures, your desktop, and there's a little search box there so you can launch applications old-fashioned Windows Start menu way if you want and shut down there. Of course, you can also do it Windows 8 way, which is to swipe in from here and tap on search, and you can see all the applications that we have installed this way too. So certainly that works just fine. And with the swipe back, we're back where we want to be. And we have access to the standard Windows 8 style settings over here, which is pretty rudimentary. Anything else you want to do, you can use Control Panel. Now you notice when I'm tapping this does bounce around a little bit. That's a little bit annoying, but not an uncommon problem with convertibles that have touchscreens. If they don't have a very, very stiff hinge, it's going to start bouncing. If it comes with a stiff hinge and it loosens up over time, same thing can happen. Sliders tend to be the most actually stationary among these kind of designs. But here you can see we have our standard Windows 7 style control panel, and this can run all your Windows 7 x86 applications. You want to put Photoshop on here, you want to put Civ 5 game on here, anything like that you can do. It's full Intel Core i CPUs, so good times. When it comes to performance, our Core i5 Ivy Bridge model 1.7 GHz performs quite well in synthetic benchmarks like PC Mark 07, which loves SSD drives because, well, they are pretty darn fast, aren't they? So you'll see much higher scores for anything as an SSD drive. So this is going to score higher than the Staples version that has a 500 gig rotating hard drive in it. And we scored 4424, which is pretty good for a Ultrabook with that CPU inside and 4 gigs of RAM. In our Windows Experience Index, you can see right here for processor, 6.9, very respectable. RAM got a 5.9, that's, you know. Desktop graphics, we got 4.4, 3D business and gaming graphics, 6.1, and disk data transfer, 8.1, which is very good. Nice SSD that Lenovo is using in there, and that's on a scale of 1 to 9.9 in Windows 8. That's different from the Windows 7 scores that stopped at 7.9 maximum, obviously, since we have an 8.1 for our SSD drive. Feels quick enough. We can launch IE very fast because it has an SSD drive. And you heard those Dolby enhanced speakers there. Resizing it works just fine even with something that has a fairly Latin interface there. And if you want to get to IE10 live tile style over here that runs in full screen mode, simply switch over to live tiles and you've got pretty much the same thing. Reasonably good text clarity here. Like I said, considering that's 1366 by 768, this is not going to be something like a full HD experience, but Windows does a good job of typography, keeps things clear, and you can see that the pictures look nice and saturated and good. And now we've got our website loaded in the LiveTile version of IE10, which, by the way, both the LiveTile and desktop version of IE10 do support Adobe Flash. Our website's loaded. Certainly good speed, good response time there, and we'll test out some video playback in a minute. First I want to mention this has dual band Wi-Fi 802.11b, and you have your option of getting ThinkPad wireless, which actually costs more. Usually when you go with something Intel based, Lenovo charges you more, but you can get a kind of lower end Intel Wi-Fi bundled with Bluetooth 4.0, or you can get the ThinkPad, which is Broadcom powered and also has Bluetooth 4.0. Of course, you won't be getting Wi-Fi there since it's provided by Broadcom. And again, you have gigabit Ethernet as well. Now, no problems with reception or throughput so far with this, using mostly the 5 gigahertz band. Well, let's test out some video playback. We're going to look at our Amazon Kindle Fire HD video review. And this will play using Adobe Flash. Again, this is really just a notebook computer, so it's not going to have any problems with playing Flash. And that's at 58% volume right there, folks. Very loud, but kind of tinny speakers. This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the Kindle Fire HD 8.9-inch. The bigger brother or sister, depending on your opinion of that, to the Kindle Fire HD 7-inch that we looked at 2 months ago. Basically, you got the same Kindle here, you just got more of it in a higher resolution display. So that is certainly incredibly loud. It's Dolby enhanced audio. Louder than you could ever expect a 12.5-inch notebook to be, certainly. Again, a little bit on the tinny side. You're not getting much bass response there, but you'll have no trouble hearing this, God knows, even in a noisy room. Lenovo bundles some software here. You get your 30-day trial of Norton Internet Security. And Windows also has its own antivirus and firewall built in, so as to whether you need that Norton, that's dubious, but it's there. You got your Office 2010 trial if you want to register for 2 months of that, or I would suggest just download the Windows Office 2013 preview instead. It's free and does a job in a little bit more of a touch-friendly fashion. We've got a couple of Lenovo utilities here. We've got their maintenance app, we've got their cloud storage, we've got their quick launch, which is really just another way to update your computer and check status and PC health. Kindle is on board, Skype is pre-installed, and we've got Evernote along with Sketch also installed, and AccuWeather. So not too much bloatware there, and largely a bunch of stuff that's pretty useful, except for maybe not Rara.com or the eBay shortcut. Don't think you actually have to have those right there, but they are there nonetheless. Battery life is going to vary on this machine. The one with the 500 gig hard drive, even though Lenovo claims up to 7 hours of battery life, I think they're talking about the SSD model, because at best I've seen about 4.5, 5 hours with the one that has the spinning conventional hard drive. This guy right here, we've been getting about 5.5 hours. So far, no touchscreen convertible has really had stunning battery life with Windows 8. Don't know why that is, but it doesn't have incredibly long-lasting stamina. Not terrible either, but there's that. So who's the Lenovo ThinkPad Twist for? Well, obviously those of you who are looking for an Ultrabook, and a well-made Ultrabook at that, it certainly is ThinkPad durable. It's pretty light and easy to carry around at 3.5 pounds. Granted, if you're using it in tablet mode, it's going to start to feel a little heavy, but so far that's the case with all convertibles. Once you start building in things like keyboard decks, you just add more weight. So if you're looking for something portable, if you're looking for something with Windows 8 and you really want to be able to use this interface right here as it was meant to be used, easy swiping back and forth, pinch zooming, swiping in from the sides to bring up all of your applications and stuff like that, well, this one makes certainly a lot of sense. As an alternative to the Yoga 13, certainly this has an even better keyboard. The Yoga 13 has a pretty nice keyboard. This is a keyboard to die for, a Typist Stream right here. So if you do a lot of typing, this one could be for you. Also, if you're looking for something a little bit more compact, not much, than the Yoga 13. It's something to keep in mind. And lastly, this guy is more often in stock. The Yoga 13 is just about impossible to find right now. Maybe somewhere into the beginning of 2013, the Yoga 13 will actually be in stock in more places. And when we compare it to the Lenovo ThinkPad X230T, that's the tablet version of the X230, well, you could say this is a poor man's version of that tablet. Well, it's about $300 less, so certainly you are saving a lot of money there. What you're giving up is, with the X230T, you're getting full mobile CPUs. They're more powerful, they have higher clock speeds. You can get a 2.5 gigahertz Intel Core i5 full mobile. Still HD 4000 graphics there, so if you do things that are very processor intensive, and you folks who do, you know who you are, then there's still certainly an argument for getting the X230T tablet. But if you're really not doing anything that demanding, then the Twist is a great way to get into a Lenovo convertible tablet for less money. One thing I will say about the X230T, right now you can order it two ways. You can either order it with a touchscreen or with the digital pen interface. So for those of you who need a digital pen, clearly this one isn't for you. You're going to have to look at something like the X230T minus touch, but with the digital pen option, or the Sony Vaio Duo 11, which has both touch and a digital pen support. And someday the Asus Taichi might actually come out, and one of those screens is going to support N-Trig, digital pen, and also touch. So that's the Lenovo ThinkPad Twist. We like it a lot, certainly for a touchscreen convertible Windows 8 tablet. Works nicely. Good specs, good price. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website to read the full review, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.